welcome to Tales from the PowerAge, and tonight we're taking you all the way back to 1987. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah,
good,
cheers,
mate.
Bill.
Thank
All
you.
good.
Not only are we taking you back to the year 1987, we're also taking you back to the album 1987, and this is Whitesnake 1987, if you hadn't guessed from the 15 times I've already said 1987. Anyway, this was a monumental moment for David Coverdale and Whitesnake. It was their first album in 3 years, which now doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're in your teenage years, it seemed like an eternity between Slide It In and 1987. So we're going to have a talk through the album, and then we're going to talk about the tour, because we were there at Wembley Arena with Michael Schenker Group and Whitesnake watching this show, which turned out to be not only a great show, but also a huge album for the band as well, which we'll talk about as we go through this. So should we maybe kick off with what preceded this album?
Sure. Well, it was, as you say, it was Slide It In. They released it as a regular album, a regular UK album with a version of the old lineup, except Neil Murray had gone and it was replaced with Colin
Bomber.
Hodgkinson, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
On bass, Mel Galley on guitar. It was very similar to the, I guess, Saints and Sinners kind of style, but I guess the songs were a little bit more direct. And then they signed to Geffen in the USA, and they demanded a US remix of it. And as you can see there, it's here as well. I actually got this pretty close to when it came out. I don't know why. I always thought it was a bit strange that something that's supposed to sound better was on a picture disc.
It's got a better track listing though, in my opinion.
Counterintuitive.
The US version.
Yeah, I prefer it actually. I know that's sacrilege, but I do prefer it. I love a bit of Johnny Sykes guitar squeals and slides and all that he's famous for. So effectively, this is just showing you the two different lineups on the two albums. Neil Murray replaced the bass line. There's less keyboard. It's much more direct. They were obviously already going down the route of not only audibly appealing to the Americans, but visually too. There's a stark contrast between the two photos.
Interestingly, I bought this in Reckless Records about 3 years ago in Soho.
Oh.
Yeah, tenner. 12. It was labelled at 12, but I bought it for a tenner because I bought a bunch of other things as
You
well.
got the printed thing on it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and also it's obviously got their sticker on it, but also the sticker from Virgin Records when whoever purchased it for $5.99.
Yeah, well, that'd be about right.
Yeah, so it's good, isn't it?
So then there was a kind of an evolution from there. I mean, between me and Jam, we used to watch the press and we used to watch the TV to try and find any interviews with Dave Coverdale because we were waiting for this next album to come out. And I used to video everything, so I had nothing better to do. We used to watch this video of him sitting in the south of France, it looked like, with the wind blowing his hair, and he was guaranteeing that the album will be out next year. I guarantee it.
Guarantee.
That was Whistle Test, wasn't it? That was on.
Yeah, that's it.
Was
Yeah.
right.
And it was about 2 years before it actually came out, and there was all kinds of troubles with the recording, and he had throat issues and all kinds of stuff going on. Meanwhile, we saw, which we mentioned on another pod, we saw Neil Murray in a tiny little pub in Oxford. The band were called MGM, and it was Mel Galley,
Bernie
Marsden, yeah, and Neil Murray, and also an ex-Marine.
A couple of times. They were brilliant.
Yeah, and John Martyr, who played briefly for Marillion on drums. So when we saw him in '86, was that? Neil Murray fully believed that he was still in the band, and I think he'd recorded the album. We had a long chat with him, and so he thought he was going to be in Whitesnake. And then as soon as the album came out, Dave had other ideas, but we'll talk about that later. This is the recording lineup. So you've got
He's still on the album, isn't he?
He's still on the album, yeah.
You can easily tell it's Neil on the bass.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what was wrong with that. I think the egos had landed when it came to John Sykes and Dave Coverdale. Both strong characters, but what a fantastic combination. And they had Ainsley Dunbar on drums as well.
He was bloody brilliant.
Yeah, I don't like the drum sound particularly, but he's a good drummer. obviously a good drummer, and the ubiquitous Don Airy on keyboards.
Who hasn't he played with?
Yeah. Probably half my collection he's on, literally. But fair play. And then I just popped a picture there of young Adrian Vandenberg, because he did one solo on the album.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought I'd kind of put out who was on the album versus the tour, which we can get to later. So onto the singles. Does someone else want to talk through the singles?
Well, I'll tell you what I have got on the single bit is the this funky promo, which is quite a weird one. It's a French promo on EMI. So on one side it was Whitesnake, Is This Love, and on the other side you have Marillion, Incommunicado.
Nice. And when are you selling that to me?
How come you haven't already sold it to him? When did you?
Yeah.
You're chuffed you haven't got it. Gav's gutted he hasn't got that.
I am, yeah. Got a little poster there.
Very little poster.
Yeah.
But I do remember Still of the Night coming out as the first single, and I think the bit that linked all of these songs together and the rebrand of Whitesnake more notably were the videos. So again, just remembering back to what it was like in 1987, 1988, everything was very much MTV driven, and the storyboard on the videos was brilliant. So you had David taking the lead role with
Tawny Katane.
There you go.
She was quite attractive, if I remember.
They were iconic videos, and they married, didn't they, for a couple of years, and
then she got old.
Well, yeah, she passed away sadly a couple of years ago.
Is that right? Didn't know that.
So, but anyway, Gav's got all the promos and the.
But the videos, you mentioned the videos. The videos they did for. We were talking about the previous album. They were your typical. They're great. Love Ain't No Stranger and Slow and Easy. The videos for them are like live. Live show. Yeah. David Coverdale giving it large, twiddling his microphone stand, and the lads all just giving it great. The difference, still, as you say, I think that's such a massive point. MTV changed the world. These boys were literally on it. They were jumping on it from the off, weren't they?
The video for Is This Love is absolutely immense.
Yeah.
It really appealed to a 17-year-old.
The whole rebrand, the whole thing, like, this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm doing it. It's just amazing that you can read so well.
It clearly worked for Whitesnake because they sold 10 million copies
10 million,
in the States alone. So it sold 25 million worldwide, but 10 million in the States alone. I mean, if you're shifting those sort of numbers on an album, providing you don't go completely off the rails, you're set for life. But it was really driven by the videos, which were absolutely superb. So, Jaguar car, modern, moody scenes, David Coverdale looking brilliant. I mean, it was just
so aspirational, wasn't it? It's kind of I want that lifestyle,
Yeah, everybody wanted
and
that.
Singing like a god as well.
Yeah.
Right, let's go to the album then. So, Gaps, what were your initial thoughts of the album? What are your memories from the album?
Standouts for me, Give Me All Your Love, absolutely brilliant. Straight for the Heart is another really, really fun song, very, very good. But you've got to pick out Bad Boys, and for me, my favourite song on the album is Crying in the Rain. Absolute banger. It's one of the best songs of all time, with one of the greatest guitar solos of all time. It is absolutely fantastic. It has me crying when I listen to it. It's so, so good. The man, Johnny Sykes, was one of the best guitar players ever to have walked the earth, and he proves it on Bad Boys and Crying in the Rain for me, which is my favourite song on the album. But if you go to something a little bit different, Straight for the Heart is just so brilliant. It's just such a fun, boppy song. It's really, really cool. You got Looking for Love, one of Jam's favourite songs, Give Me All Your Love, which bizarrely for Jam to be one of his favourites is the really old sounding Whitesnakey songs, which it's just so good. I love this album. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Jam?
Yeah, Give Me All Your Love is my favourite live Whitesnake song. I don't know why I latched onto it from the moment. I just love it.
It's great.
I always loved it. It's
so
almost,
Whitesnake though, it's absolutely mental.
yeah.
You got the first two. Sorry, Joe. You got the first two, and then he comes back into this with this real old Whitesnake feel, and he's actually singing. With the first two, he's screaming a bit, but on "Give Me All Your Love," he's actually doing his proper singing voice, and it's immense.
But the way he presented that, the way he always presented "Give Me All Your Love" live, it just ramped up, and I just loved it, and it just grew. And by the end, you're just screaming from the rooftops. It's such a great build on that song.
Well, yeah, because you got the slowdown in the middle, haven't you? Yeah. You can imagine it's so good.
Yeah,
there must have been a bit of a sing back, and
it's great. It is so good. I really love that one. But yeah, so the highlight from love that. Gonna Break My Heart Again, I absolutely loved. But then again, it was 87, so there was a lot of heartbreak stuff going on in our worlds. It's one of those records that as Gap said, he's just listed virtually every song. It's a cracking record overall. It's so good. And you've got The Edge, you've got Still the Night and Bad Boys. They're so good. They are heavy, great guitaring, and it's got the backed up by DC's vocals, which is second to none. So good.
Yeah, it's immense vocally wise. It's brilliant.
Gav?
And even you must love the ballads on these, Jam.
Yeah.
No? No, you do. I know you do.
He does.
Is This Love is a brilliant ballad.
I still like it now.
Yeah, so do I.
No, it's fine.
Fantastic.
It's fine.
Written for Tina Turner, apparently, originally.
Yeah,
That's
right. Yeah,
Written for Tina Turner, did you say?
Yeah, and then they thought, hang on a minute, it's a bit good. We'll have it. We'll keep it. Of course, there are two songs off the 2 albums ago, Saints and Sinners, were resurrected for this, and then ultimately another one for the next album. So, the reason I put the last 2 in yellow is they're not on the original vinyl.
no.
And if you don't believe me, show you the original vinyl. There you go.
So what is Crying in the Rain off Saints and Sinners as well then?
Yeah, so they're all songs.
I knew Here I Go Again was off that.
Yeah.
And they changed the vocal, didn't they, from hobo to drifter, because the Americans wouldn't understand what a hobo was, apparently.
And Drifter's better.
Well, it is better, yeah, it sounds better.
Also, they're all co-written, but they're all written by Sykes, Coverdale, except for Crying in the Rain, which is just Coverdale. And then we had the extra songs on there. I think Here I Go Again was Marsden, Coverdale.
Bernie Marsden, yeah.
Yeah, so that gave him a nice pension for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And a good moment just to quickly mention the producer.
Producers.
Oh yeah, well,
Mike Stone, wasn't it?
yeah, because that's not one that I know very well. Is he done?
No, I've not heard the name before, so Gav will tell us all about him, obviously.
Because Martin Birch did the previous record.
He did all Whitesnake, like he did all Maidens, really.
And then this is, and I don't know this
Rainbow
guy,
and
so
Deep
yeah,
Purple.
I didn't know I don't know where he came from or what happened. So
Yeah, I reckon if it's the same Mike Stone, it's the guy that was an engineer for years for Queen and then stepped up to be the producer on this puppy.
oh
So yeah, I'm gonna have to do a bit of 100% confirmation, but that it seems a bit of a unlikely. There's 2 Mike Stones.
no, exactly, which would be superb considering.
But yeah, that's they don't actually say who produces which song, as far as I can tell. But it was Mike Stone and Keith Olsen.
Yeah.
Keith Olsen has done loads of really popular kind of albums like this, including after this he did Magnum, Goodnight LA. But he's done loads of others.
Okay, so I think you guys all like the album then, which is I love it as well. I listened to this actually yesterday and today, and this isn't my go-to Whitesnake album. For me, it's always been Ready and Willing, but this is really great. And I thought, why haven't I listened to this? Why don't I listen to this more? It's really, really great. It's a brilliant album. For me, the only track that I would have left off would be Don't Turn Away. But the rest of them, I mean, there's no real fillers on there, with the exception of maybe that one.
Don't Turn Away is a little bit long. The beginning's a bit long, but the ending of it is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant album. So should we go on to the gig then?
The tour. Yeah. So I don't know when. Can you remember when we found out that lineup changed?
No.
It's very odd, isn't it? We've never really known this in the history of our little metal world.
No.
We love an album and then buy tickets for the tour, and it's almost completely different, lineup. It's very odd. But it was quite clear what they were going for, apart from Tommy Aldridge,
Yeah.
which is
Old Iron Hands on drums.
On soft hands.
Old Feather Touch.
Wow. There you go.
Dynamic.
Sorry, all you Tommy
What
Aldridge
dynamic?
fans out there, but Ainsley should have still been in the band.
He's absolutely brilliant.
Before we get sued, anyway.
He's still drumming now. I mean, Christ,
I can hear him. I can hear him. He's in LA.
He's practicing in LA. Yeah, there we go.
Anyway, look at the ticket price was £9 and £10.
Very reasonable.
Brilliant. MSG supporting, so Macaulay Schenker Group in support.
Jam was upset.
Gav and I went on and we did go together, Gav. We went on the Wednesday night, December the 30th. We were on the floor. We had really good tickets. We were in Block B, Row 4, which was pretty amazing. I think that might be mine. Anyway, so that was the ticket. 30th of December, which is brilliant. I remember Michael Schenker. There was a little program that came with the Michael Schenker program that came with it as well, wasn't there?
There was. I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, this program is kind of very much introducing you to the new members and how gorgeous they are. In theory, yeah, it's okay. There's nothing to read at all.
No.
I mean, from the front cover, it looks like you've gone to Wimbledon. That looks like the ladies' trophy, and it's all in green. What?
Yeah, it's very Wimbledon-y, isn't it? I think there's no tour dates in it either, so I think they use this everywhere.
Across the board.
Yeah. Very similar to a couple of years ago on their final tour. Look at that.
Well, we'll come on to that later, won't we?
Yeah.
The use of the icons.
Good.
So yeah, that's the merch sheet that was in the program, in the back flap. Yeah. And I actually did invest in, as usual, a
Hopefully
sweatshirt.
not that T-shirt. That's terrible.
No, I bought a sweatshirt.
bought that T-shirt, Gaps. The one on the top left, I had that as you're looking at it. The David Coverdale.
Did you?
It's a bit cheeky saying David Coverdale underneath it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly,
Well, they probably didn't know he was going to be in the band, did they, by the time the gigs came round?
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it. God, bloody hell. Yeah, scary.
But you had the sweatshirt, didn't you?
I had the sweatshirt. Yeah.
£16 for a sweatshirt
I wore that to death.
when the ticket was only a tenner.
That'd make a pretty expensive sweatshirt these days.
I was going to say, because nowadays the ticket would be 100 and the sweatshirt would be probably 70 or 80.
Yeah, it's weird how that's changed, isn't it?
Yeah.
They need the money.
Yeah.
So, as we said, there were...
That haircut.
Sorry.
They were sponsored by...
Robin Macaulay's hair has always been the worst ever, but one of the best voices ever. Fair play to the bloke.
Well, on the next tour and the tour after that, it grew out and looked good.
Yeah.
It was only like, you're in a big band, you're going to need to have long hair, right? Where's the glue?
But they just invented that hair, though, haven't they? They just invented these extension-y things, and it was like, whoa, this is the 80s.
Michael's hair's great, but Robin's hair, come on.
We've mentioned this famously. Michael Schenker lived in the little village we all went to school together. And a good friend of ours went down there one afternoon, just nipped out of school, thought we'd take a small break from the physics, and knocked on the door. And Michael duly opened the door to be confronted with this big hairball, our mate, who then asked if he got any plectrums, mate.
What a surprise.
Thanks, mate.
Which he went, yeah, there you go. And I've still got one of the plectrums he brought back. So talk amongst yourselves for a minute and I'll find that plectrum. I think it's just here, actually. But that was the first one of the first plectrums I ever got, actually, funnily enough. Here it is here. Look at that.
Gav, they had a separate program for the Macaulay Schenker Group.
There you go. Michael Schenker's plectrum. And when he lived in the village we went to school.
No, I think it was just kind of a promotional leaflet thing. It's just...
Oh, it's just a leaflet, right. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was inside the main program, but I also remember there must have been some kicking around or they fell out of the program because I picked up 2 or 3, gave one to Dill.
That's right, yeah. Which is brilliant. Okay, cool. So that was Michael Schenker's support in terms of the program. Can you remember anything about Michael Schenker? Gav?
I used to like the single "Give Me Your Love," so I think I remember that, but no, not so much about the rest of it. But it's a pretty good set list.
Yeah. Armed
Apart
and
from
Ready.
Courvoisier Concerto, it's a strange one to chuck in there, but
Yeah. How random was that?
Yeah.
Sold out Wembley Arena.
Which ones are off the new album, Jam?
Get Out, Give Me Your Love. Get Out's a good track, but Love Is Not a Game was my favourite. I didn't play it, so I'm glad I didn't go. I love that record so much I bought it twice.
Yeah, I like it too.
So much I bought it.
It's one of those records I saw it a few weeks ago, and I thought this must be better. It must be better than it because I played this to pieces back in the 80s.
Well, you better sell it to me then if you got it twice.
Yeah, I will be. I've got a few. I was going to move on to you, but yeah, it's a really, really good album. I really
It is
like
a good album. I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to Whitesnake, who were the main attraction of the evening. And look, we've been dying to see Whitesnake for years. That iconic video, Commandos at Donington. Oh my gosh, the amount of times I watched that on VHS was unbelievable. And of course, it's a completely different band. Somehow, we'd all missed them at Wembley Arena in 1984 on the Slide It In tour. Goodness knows how.
Yeah, that is so weird.
That's just like the
We were all
weirdest.
totally into it, weren't we?
Yeah, can't believe how we didn't end up going to that.
No.
But anyway, here they were, and here we were. So there is footage of this gig as well on YouTube, isn't there? Which I think you shared as well, Jan. But
yeah, I was watching it the other day.
He sounds brilliant, David Coverdale, doesn't he? Still, I mean, absolutely fantastic.
It's a good song to start with, Bad Boys. Good old riff. Yeah.
Right.
And then straight into Slide It In, Slow and Easy, Here I Go Again. I mean, you're on an absolute roll, aren't you, on the first few songs? It's some of the biggest songs we've ever done.
And Guilty of Love, which is brilliant.
And Is This Love? The brilliant Love Ain't No Stranger. And there's a fantastic video of Rockin' Rio, which was also one of our mainstays of the 80s because it was on the Whistle Test. So on the Whistle Test, they used to report from these big gigs around the world, and this was one of them. And David Coverdale and John Sykes in particular just looked amazing. They're the only two people I remember in that shot. And Love Ain't No Stranger was the song that was being played. So,
but what the hell was wrong with that lineup? Yeah, that Rio lineup. With Cozy Powell on the drums as well.
Yeah,
Richard Bailey on the keyboards. So brilliant. I mean, why they couldn't get that to stay together? That would have been so awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, not that these guys aren't brilliant musicians, but you know what rock fans like? They like the camaraderie and we grew up together. And well, that's what I like anyway. I don't like kind of boy band put together, assembling musicians type thing. But by this time, it was Dave Coverdale all the way, wasn't it?
But then I guess David.
I'd love to know. Sorry, Dill. Carry on.
I was just going to say, I guess David Coverdale and EMI would argue we did the right thing because we sold 25 million records.
Well, exactly what I was
going to say. They'd already sold the records, hadn't they?
No, but it had become. I mean, it never became. I don't know what stage it never became David Coverdale's Whitesnake, but it was David Coverdale's Whitesnake. Yeah. And as exactly what you were going to say, Dill. So I was going to say exactly the same. Every decision that he seemed to make, I don't know if it's him or what management hit, but he certainly drove it. I'm sure. It was correct. Look at that. How would you have felt though, Gav? Because you're an old star. My go-to deal, you said about my go-to Whitesnake album is 87 and Slide It In. They're the two, I'll be honest, and I don't ever play any others. These I actually go back to 1987 quite regularly. They're my go-tos, and this set is made up of those two albums pretty much.
Yeah.
So how were you feeling at the time, Gav, as far as it's a Wembley Arena?
I didn't feel too bad about it because I was still on the. I was still really supportive of everything Dave was doing.
Yeah.
And I knew that I really didn't like Saints and Sinners. So if that was the direction they were going to slump into, he needed a shot in the arm anyway.
Yeah.
That's very true. It wasn't a great album.
Real lackluster album. People were just phoning it in. And apparently that was the case as well, that nobody was really bothering.
Right.
And then Slide It In was much better. The remix I really thought was good.
Yeah.
So it was on a fine trajectory, and I loved Johnny Sykes, and I loved the songwriting for that album. So the only disappointment in this era is it wasn't him on stage.
Yeah, which would have been amazing.
I'd love to know how whether it was Adrian or Vivian who took the Crying in the Rain solo, whether they managed to produce it
That's
We'll
a
have a
good
look.
shout.
It's on-
Yeah,
it's on
just have a
YouTube.
look. Yeah.
Unbelievable by
But
John Sykes on the.
I can only think it was an ego clash, like I said earlier, and struggle for power, because Dave would never have that as let's be equal, John. No, it's not going to happen, is it? So I think he had to get rid in order to set it straight for him. But it certainly wasn't on his songwriting, it wasn't on his playing, it wasn't on how he looked, it wasn't on his stage presence, because he was better than all of this lot for all of that, in my opinion.
Maybe Dave thought he was better looking than him.
Well, he is.
Which he was.
He was. But no, that's what I mean. I think it
may be as basic as that.
Yeah. And I'm sure he wasn't a shrinking violet when it came to his opinions either.
I'd like to think that in this world that we live in, you get people, you get geniuses, and you can't always have two in the same room. And Johnny Sykes and David Coverdale, boom, they were there long enough to be able to make it happen and to give us that record.
Yeah.
And off they go in their own separate ways. That's what I'm probably a bit of an romantic. That's what
a very good point, mate. Very good.
They would have just ruined each other, wouldn't they? On the road with big characters. It's just a shame,
It's a shame, but I mean, Dave did manage to keep the Whitesnake train on the track.
For
many years. So fair play to him.
He's a cracking guitarist as well, couldn't he? Because he had some real great guitarists he had in his band.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, just looking at Vivian Campbell as well, and he's in the programme. I think I've seen him in something like 5 bands over the years. Obviously, Dio was the first time we saw him in a band, and then Whitesnake, and Def Leppard, and the last 2 I can't think of the other one, so please tell me. But I'm sure I've seen him in 5 different bands live.
Thin Lizzy, he played for Thin Lizzy for a while.
That's right. That's it. That's exactly right. Yeah. So, amazing, absolutely incredible. So,
he's brilliant as well. He's fantastic.
He is brilliant.
But look, couple of storming tunes at the back end of the set, Still of the Night, which was absolutely huge on MTV, as we've already mentioned, huge everywhere, huge on the radio. Then you got the classic Enter Love in the Heart of the City, which is brilliant, always felt right, in London in particular, because that was recorded at Hammersmith Odeon, the famous one. And then you got Give Me All Your Love, Jam.
Yeah.
For you. And then Bit is Easy Top.
Yeah, why on earth did they play that?
Easy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, and then Wish You Well.
It's not a bad song, but why play that instead
probably
of
just
playing
Gav,
one of your own songs?
Gav does love a cover played by a big band for no reason.
Oh yeah.
If they could have made it a Sex Pistols cover, you'd have just adored it. It'd just been
or Ramones. That's a
obviously.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But what is the rationale apart from his hilarious use of tits instead of touch?
Well, that's probably it.
The guy, if they'd only done 87 and they didn't have any material, you could think there's 20 songs that they could have done.
But they played that every night, Gav. You said this is the same set. It was the same set list at Birmingham, and it's like, it's not.
It was a thing. Bands did
Ready and Willing.
If you think that was the same year as Bon Jovi at Monsters of Rock. And they did a couple of cover versions.
They did 2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, they're Americans, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. we commented on that before on some of our Doningtons that the Americans sometimes have a different idea. They want to get an English song out, maybe they want to do a Beatles song or a Sex Pistols song to pay homage to the Brits. Dave knows better. What's he on about?
Or how long had he been in the States by this point? I purposely was leading you down that road, Gav, because I was thinking, where was he at?
Well, what do you met Billy Gibbons in a bar?
Well, maybe. You don't know. Anyway.
But if you brought your girlfriend and she didn't know any songs, that wouldn't help. She's not going to know tits either, is she?
Or even touch.
Maybe. Anyway, moving swiftly on. We Wish You Well, from memory, was a tape recording, as it always is, as you go.
Yeah.
And ironically, I was wished well because I found a wallet. I mentioned this before on another pod. And Gav and I trundled out. I found this wallet, which had £3 in it and some cards. Anyway, I took it home. My mum promptly, the following day, found a number, got hold of the said owner, who then drove all the way from London, came in. The pair of them came in, said, thank you so much. We can't believe it. How honest you were. So brilliant. You know, there wasn't a lot of money in there, but like a pile of credit cards and stuff. And I was gifted 2 tickets for Def Leppard Hysteria. So there you go, guys. There's your quid pro quo right there. I could have spent that £3 on a knockoff T-shirt on the way out, but I didn't. I gave it in and got 2 tickets for Hysteria, which Gav and I then went to again. We'd always seen the Hysteria at Hammersmith Odeon, then went to the arena
in the round.
Yeah. So there you go. Anyway,
Cool.
Honesty is always the best policy, people.
We weren't so much bad boys as good boys.
We're always honest on this show. So what came next, Gav?
Well, something that's not what I consider to be a great album, Slip of the Tongue. I got it. I actually got it at the time as well, I think on CD, but there's a few good songs in there, but I don't think it's a more Whitesnake album than the one before.
There was
It's very less Whitesnake than the previous album.
Yeah, obviously,
I mean, it's got Mr. Steve Vai on it, so
Steve Vai, yeah,
it can't be that bad.
Talking of hired guns, it was a very odd choice as a hired gun.
Yeah, absolutely.
But listen, for balance, there was also something else that came next.
Yeah, good shout. Oh, yeah, I should have put that in.
Johnny Sykes, Blue Murder.
Blue
What
Murder.
an album this is as well. So
that's almost like the sister album to 87, isn't it? Because it sounds so similar.
It does, yeah.
Production very similar.
And again, on Getting. So again, if this is one worth getting hold of if you can. It's not easy piece of vinyl to get your hands on this, but super record.
No, good shout. Yeah, I should have put that in. Yeah. Any other comments on that album, guys?
No, it's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of, they never really recaptured the heights of 1987, did they? I mean, that's
No way.
they've made some great tunes. I love David Coverdale, always have done. Love Whitesnake. For me, as I said earlier, unlike Jan, my go-tos Ready and Willing, Love Hunter, Come and Get It. Whereas you like the sort of more polished stuff, less bluesy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I've always loved Whitesnake. I was lucky enough to go and see them a couple of years ago, and Dave obviously been struggling with his voice, never managed to finish the tour, ironically, which was a real shame. But it was a real, it was a real celebration of everything Whitesnake, and it was a really.
They've kind of said that's it now. I think.
They are,
Because Red Beach was talking to Dave Coverdale apparently, and it's not like get ready, we're going back. It's like come and get your stuff.
But Dave Coverdale and Whitesnake as a whole have given us plenty, haven't they, over the years? They've given us so much. Fair play to them. Honestly.
We saw them at Hammersmith Jam, didn't we, in 2000s? The one they made the video of, anyway.
Yeah, the video night at Hammy
O. That was corking.
That was so good, though. It seemed, was it a more settled lineup at the time? It just they were a proper band, and Dave was. Was that sort of 2006 or something like that? Did you
I think it was 2006, Joe. That's just been released on vinyl as well. So if you're looking for that on vinyl,
a great night.
There's a special package of that.
The DVD looks brilliant as well, doesn't it? At Hammersmith.
Yeah, and that hasn't aged. I know. As a DVD, I actually revisit. I put it on DVD. I love it. And I do remember us both laughing our heads off during "Is This Love?" because I think we dubbed Tommy Soft Hands Aldridge because he was pounding those drums during "Is This Love?" and we were just for it ourselves. It was brilliant.
For anyone that wants to hate on us for the Tommy comments, it's just that he doesn't really ever play quietly. He just no matter what the situation, he's always hammering it out.
Yeah, I know he's great. He's great.
He's a fabulous drummer.
Get a ballad on. It's just like it's brilliant. But yeah, great.
When he says "we" means the other three, not me. I haven't said anything bad about you, Tommy. So if you want to send me some drumsticks or drum skins, you know where they come. Jan, we also saw Whitesnake, didn't we? With at a Monsters of Rock thing, they did a little tour with Gary Moore and Y&T.
Yeah, fantastic. That was great.
As well. Yeah, so that was. I think that was about 99, was it?
It was. I'll tell you what it was. It was 2003.
Oh, here we go. I've got it.
It was 2003.
You're right, 17th of May 2003. What about that?
I bought my brother a ticket for his 40th birthday because he's mad on Gary Moore. And it was the Scars album, so Gary Moore's brilliant. It had Y&T opening, and I loved Y&T. And it had Whitesnake, and it was at Wembley Arena, and there hadn't been like a Monsters of Rock. It was under the label of Monsters of Rock. It was a cracking night. Great.
£32.50 a ticket for that one, if you're interested.
We should do that, Jan.
That was a really good night. Brilliant.
Okay. Good. Let's have a look at the logo, shall we? Because something changed.
Yeah, this is another thing that kind of changed after 87 was we never got a new album cover. he sure loves that logo.
There you go. There's a signed program from a couple of years ago.
Oh, hang on, let me pick you up.
With David DC in the middle. There you go.
Very nice.
Nice.
Was that a VIP package thing?
Might what could have been?
Brilliant.
Yes, it was a VIP package. I got the Viper pass up there somewhere, which was cool.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Lovely.
So there you go. So there's Whitesnake. That was 1987. A huge album. 25 million units shifted. We've got a few of those units in our little man caves. You'll be glad to know. We've still got them. So it must be quite good that none of us have actually moved them on or shifted them. So you can normally tell if it's a good album if Gav hasn't sold it, and he hasn't. He's still got it. He's still got the embossed version.
Two of them.
He's got he's a good barometer of what's good. So if you want to have a look at what we're up to when we're out and about seeing gigs, check out our live channel. We've got a bunch of stuff on there, which I'm sure you'll find interesting. Sadly, even when I went to see Whitesnake, I didn't get a full video of Whitesnake because we were too busy singing away to all the famous tunes, as you'd expect. But there is a great video of Foreigner who was support that night from that said gig, which is great. And there's loads and loads of other stuff on there as well. So please check it out. If you want to get in contact with us, you can through Facebook on Tales from the PowerAge. We're on X on Tales from the PowerAge at TTFTPR. We're on Bluesky at TFTPA. Bluesky Social. We're on Instagram on Tales from the PowerAge. If you want to buy some merchandise, you can do from Spreadshop. But I tell you what, you won't be able to get unless you maybe see us somewhere. It's one of these new amazing plectrums, right? So look at that. These are so rare.
I haven't even got one.
You couldn't even brush your teeth with that. It's that rare. Anyway, you can also check us out online on www.talesonthepowerage.com, which tells you a little bit more about us and what we are up to. Anyway, listen, I hope that brings back memories for many of you watching this all the way back to 1987. Such a long time ago now. It's unbelievable. But they were good days, right? And what a great album that was. So I'm going to go and put that album on again and remind myself of how good it is to find a wallet after a gig and get more free tickets for another brilliant gig. And that whole free
find one these days.
Well, yeah, that whole free ticket thing seems to have followed me through my life. But
the whole wallet thing's gone.
Yeah, but it has.
Yeah.
Hey ho. Anyway, listen. Cheers, guys. See you later.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Take it easy.
We love you, Tommy.
We do.
The love Tommy a bit.